So Mary, now we transition from the why, the statistics. Let's talk a little bit about what this means for the organization. And what does it mean if I'm a business owner or a chief revenue officer like Mark? What does it mean for my current sales force?
Right. So it's a very exciting and dynamic time for salespeople and sales leaders. And so, in thinking about this conversation, I really thought a lot about, is the B2B salesperson dead? Have they been resurrected? Are they alive and well? What in fact is the status of B2B selling? And so I know you're familiar with this, Jamie, and some of your attendees maybe as well. My colleague Andy Hoare wrote a very provocative report last spring, and it was called Death of the B2B Salesman. And in that report, he predicted that U.S. sales force would contract by about, 1 million in the next 4 years. And it created really a lot of press and a lot of angst among salespeople, including the sales force at Forrester. I assume we have some of our folks on the call today. Both our own sales force as well as our clients. But I think the thing that was really interesting about what Andy did in his research and how he's contributed to the discussion is that he surfaced a really, really important conversation. And that conversation is that, B2B buyers are fundamentally shifting the ways they want to engage with selling organizations and how they want to engage with salespeople. And selling organizations are and have been fundamentally behind that shift. And so it's really surfaced this concept that selling organizations really need to start transforming their sales force in order to engage effectively with the modern B2B buyer.
Yeah, absolutely. And this is what I've loved when we created these insights in conjunction with your team, this infographic, starting to understand what actually makes up that ideal sales professional. That's the interesting piece. And it's funny because I remember as an example, when I read the Challenger sale, I compared myself against the 5 points. And I did the same thing here, Mary. When I saw your 4 points, I thought to myself, well, who am I? And would I have survived, or will I survive in the next 5 years? So perhaps you can help us understand what those archetypes are and what they mean for your business.
Right. So, first of all, I do want to state that, I strongly believe that the B2B salesperson is very much alive. They're not going away, anytime soon. But it's a period of great change, and the folks that can change and evolve are going to succeed in this new environment. And naturally, there will be quite a few changes. But as we look at these archetypes, Forrester created these seller and buyer archetypes, and we find that salespeople, despite what different organizations might call them, typically fit into one of these 4 types of quadrants. And the way we looked at it is we looked at the complexity of the buyer dynamic and the complexity of the product and service that's being positioned or presented, and came up with these 4 archetypes. So you have explainers, order takers, consultants, and navigators. I think, order takers are pretty clear what they do, and most likely, in some ways, they'll be replaced by technology or amplified with technology. Explainers are those salespeople that really lead with the product, feature, and function. And again, if you think about that, while they won't be disintermediated immediately, those types of information flow can be covered over digital channels. Navigators are salespeople who typically add value by having great relationships within organizations. So they're the ones that have multiple stakeholder contacts. They can create complex ROI models. They are comfortable tin cupping to get funding for deals. And then finally, you've got this consultant concept, which we'll go into in more detail as we move forward. And these are really going to be the very, very much sought after salespeople of the future. Today, as I work with clients and I sort of run these assessments, we have an assessment tool that we can help benchmark where your sales force is relative to your sales channels. Most all of the heads of sales that I work with are saying, maybe I have 1 or 2 consultants at unique areas in the business, but it's not sort of a skill set that's pervasive across the U.S. sales organizations today.